Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Shao Kahn figure. This is actually my first Mortal Kombat figure from McFarlane Toys. I pre-ordered this on Amazon. It was delayed once or twice, but it finally got to me around the beginning of the month here in April, and I was just really curious to check it out. I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, and even though I don't really follow it too much these days, I wanted to get this figure because it's Shao Kahn. If it's Shao Kahn or if it's Goro, I'm just drawn to it. It's a nostalgia thing for me. So I already got a whole lot of McFarlane Toys figures, and typically they're pretty good. But my first experience with the Mortal Kombat line. All right, so let's open this up, check it out. When this figure was still in the packaging, one of the things that stood out most to me was the weapon. This hammer looks really cool. I love how they handled this. It's a nice silver color. It's got some gold decorations around it. It has a very clean golden Mortal Kombat dragon on both sides of it. And it just kind of made me wonder, how come all of McFarlane Toys weapon accessories for all their lines like this? When I look at some of the DC Multiverse figures, I see those weapons, and even though they have etchings and markings and symbols on some of them, it's just all one flat color, and it looks kind of dull. Like the Devastator sword and, like Wonder Woman's sword, things just look very bleh, boring. And it was even the same thing with the Mandarin Spawn. Really cool etchings on his weapons, but they gave it that same old gold color. I wish they put in a little bit more work like they did with Shao Kahn's hammer, and then those weapons accessories would have been so much better than what they are. Now, as for the figure himself, again, they do a really nice job here. I love how clean the paint is on his various pieces of armor. This iconic Shao Kahn helmet looks really good front to back. And even though I don't know all the names of the different pieces of armor that he's wearing, I do know what looks good when it looks good, and darn it, it looks good. I love it. It's great. We got some texture right here, like on this skirt piece, I guess. I don't know what this would be. Nice texture here. You can feel it. Nice adornments, good color, and a nice contrast here in the front with that darker red. They really nailed that outfit. It looks really good. But here's the thing about Shao Kahn. The armor looks great. Like I said, the weapon looks great, but himself, his skin, it seems like it's unfinished. I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat person in the world, but I know that Shao Kahn, for his chest, his chest right here looks so smooth. It looks perfect. It has no imperfections at all. It ain't like that with the actual Shao Kahn. I wish that they would have put a little bit more into it. Maybe made it a little bit darker around the edges. Maybe add some scars or some burns or something like that. Same thing over on his arms here, because his arms are not just this regular one solid color either. It's very dark, like around the scale parts, and it's darker. It looks a little bit more red. There's more texture. There's just more to it. You know what it kind of reminds me of? You know how there's some figures that they're meant for like artistic purposes only. They don't look like anything. They just look like mannequins, but they tend to have really good articulation because they're mimicking the way that the human body moves. That's how I feel about his chest. It just seems so unfinished and just blah, plain. And I wish that they would have added more to it. And even though they did make his arms like right here darker, it's just, it should have been a little bit more to it than that, because it's McFarlane Toys, and we know that they are more than capable of just nailing every aspect of figures if they want to. DC Multiverse has shown us this. So Shao Kahn just, he's lacking in just simply making parts of his arm darker than the other. What we really needed was finer details to bring that out, and not just a solid color. People who like to customize can probably bring that type of stuff out. So you got yourself a little bit of a blank canvas here if you're looking for a project to do. Now, this weapon is very bendable. As you can see, he's holding this hammer here, and you can probably tell it looks a little bit warped. It's very, very soft. So if you want to straighten that out, you have to go through those proper procedures in order to make that happen. It took me a while to get this hammer into his hands without any kind of heat because his fingers are quite stiff. But for you, I will remove one of them so that we can look at some articulation. All right, so, pretty standard stuff here, but still pretty good. We do have a double jointed elbow in both of his arms here, so that's always good. A little bit stiff in the joints going in and out like that, so just be a little bit careful. See that we can move his arm up. Again, it's kind of stiff. This part of the armor kind of moves with it, so it's not completely hindered, but this part up here is pretty solid, so you can only do so much with it. Hands, of course, are going to swivel up and down. Take a look at this neck. You can lift up his head about that much, but he kind of has that thing going on where it just looks kind of weird when his head is lifted all up like that, because you have like this kind of under there. You see how that kind of bulges out? It reminds me of the old Color Top's Rick Grimes figure, and how when you moved his head, it kind of exposed that very similar look. So it was like, just keep your neck down. In that way, it hides it. So he has that going on. And then you can have him look down that much. So it's some good motion as far as how high and how low his head goes. You just don't want to lift it up too much because it exposes the weirdness underneath it all. All right, so here's the other arm. As you can see, same thing, double jointed elbows. That once you work them out, they get a little bit looser, so that's good. Rotating all the way around. Got some good bends there. You can move the torso somewhat, but not that much. It's not like it's going to be like an ab crunch, like clack, 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 clack. It's not like that. And I don't really, when it comes to like ab crunches, I feel like if it's not substantial, it's kind of like, what's the point? Because it's not like I'm going to have them bend all the way back or tilted, or, sometimes it just seems like it's just there to be there. Let's take a look at these legs again. Kind of hard, kind of stiff. They are double jointed knees there. Gotta be a little bit careful with that, but they are double jointed. Almost pinched my finger there. These are his feet. He has the articulated foot. You can go up and down, and it does pivot, and he's got peg holes on the bottom. And then the Shao Kahn split. Not really, but then again, it's Shao Kahn. You don't really want him to do a split. And they also kind of did that two-tone thing with his legs there. The upper part of his thigh the inner part of his thigh is a lighter color than the lower part. But, it's just another one of those things where, you could have got more detail if they just taken the time to do that, but they did not. But, overall, I think that it's a good figure, lacking in those areas that I mentioned. But I really do think that this is something, for the folks that are super into Mortal Kombat. Even though, I like Mortal Kombat, I don't see myself collecting figures in this line because I'm just not that into it. But I did want to get Shao Kahn just because simply he is Shao Kahn. So if McFarlane Toys were to ever come out with like a Goro or a Kentaro or something like that, then I would be interested in getting that as well. But this was a figure to satisfy my curiosity. And you ain't gonna find one like it on the market for this price either. So it's pretty much the best that you got to go with. So there you go. That's the review of the Mortal Kombat 11 Shao Kahn from McFarlane Toys. $20. Pretty much every retail establishment that sells it. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jeremy. Talk to you later.